Hello and welcome to Mesa's second virtual summit on homelessness. I'm Mesa Mayor John Giles, and I'm pleased today to be joined by District 4 Council Member Jen Duff. We'll also have several guests that will join us shortly to discuss this important topic. Today is our second summit to share how the City of Mesa is working to address homelessness. As we all know, homelessness is a very complicated issue. It's not static. The population and the best ways to approach the problem are constantly evolving, and the factors that we're dealing with are somewhat unpredictable. But I want you to know that Mesa has been working very closely with our neighboring cities and our human service agency partners throughout the region in a very serious attempt to impact this very difficult program. And to create a safe and a welcoming and a healthy environment for our entire city and for everyone who lives here. Last program, we talked about a couple of important programs, our Off the Streets program and our Community Court program. And today, we're going to address another couple of great topics having to do with healthy giving and also our city's strategic plan to help people progress out of homelessness. Jen, I know that you've been very interested and bring a lot of compassion to this topic, and that it impacts your district along with the rest of the city. But what are some of the things that you're hearing from your constituents, and how is this impacting your district?
Thank you, Mary. I am so glad to be here and participate in this summit. As you know, this is an issue that affects the entire city, not just the downtown area. City leadership has been working very hard to identify and implement programs that will help the individuals who need it the most. It's no secret that they've seen an increase of the number of unsheltered individuals, particularly in downtown. Safety and shelter for all our residents is absolutely critical, and we're working on steps to show how important it is to us as a city. I know that businesses and the residents have expressed their concern about this and want to know what can be done. That's why I think summits like this are so important, because we can share what we are doing in the community. I get asked by residents how they can lend a hand and how we can help those in need. How can we as citizens get them connected to the resources that they need?
Thank you, Councilmember Duff. We are going to address some very specific suggestions for all the compassionate folks in our city who are concerned about this problem and want to be engaged in it. And we're going to do that very shortly. But before we do that, I'd like to invite a couple of the key city staff people who have been working on this issue to maybe give us a little bit of a overview of what the city's approach has been on addressing homelessness. And I'm pleased to have joining us today our Deputy City Manager, NATALIE Lewis, along with Detective RAINE. Aaron is our city's homeless coordinator. First of all, I want to say thank you to NATALIE and Aaron for the great leadership that they bring to this issue. But can the two of you maybe give us, again, a brief overview of what our approach is in Mesa to dealing with homelessness?
So Aaron, I'm going to go ahead and let you start about why homelessness occurs.
People enter homelessness from a myriad of reasons to include divorce, domestic violence, financial troubles, unexpected illness or medical bills, mental illness, addiction, evictions, COVID impacted earnings. We're seeing that more and more of that. And COVID illness itself is helping people to, not helping, but actually hurting people into the process of ending up homeless. I think you'll find that some sort of crisis is a precipitating event that causes a negative change in folks' lives. And those are very challenging and difficult incidents to try and pin down. And so helping to build a robust system that helps people get connected to the services is how you can make a change, because we're never going to end some of those particular issues. So working as a community and working together is how we can reduce some of that crisis. But the path out of homelessness is just as varied as the path into homelessness.
And to add to that, thank you, Aaron. Some of the high points of our plan that directly respond to COVID, also respond to some of these issues that Aaron just talked about. But one of the things that we've seen is that there has been a lot of growth in the homeless population in the last at least 3 years. In the county, I think it's tripled. In Mesa, we've doubled. And visibility is one of the issues because the community sees our unsheltered homeless. They see them a lot. And as Councilmember Duff said, they want to be able to help them, but they also want to feel safe in going to their parks and to their libraries. So it's become an increasing community concern. And we as a city and as a governing board with the council have decided that it's time for a concerted and focused approach. The other thing is that it's really the government's role to facilitate collaboration. So we do that cross-departmentally within the city itself. We do that in the community and with our nonprofits and human service agencies. We do that with the private sector in some cases. We also are responsible for prioritizing the federal funding that we receive each year. And it's the mission of the city to focus on safety and safety for everyone. So with that in mind, we have 5 principles that guide us in setting priorities with our funding and with the strategies and programs that we create. The first strategy is about public safety being our priority. We have heightened our relationship and partnership with the police department in the field. And during COVID, we stood up a program called Off the Streets. This has been a huge effort to just get people housed early and quickly so that they can stay safe and healthy during COVID. We use enforcement when crimes occur. And, sometimes I think the community feels like we're not doing that, but we actually are doing that quite often. And we'll use something called community court, which is what was talked about in the first summit, as an incentive and a judicial process that helps this community of individuals work through issues and seek to recover. The second priority is the wise investment of public funds. I've already talked about that. We receive about $5 million a year in federal funding. We also have other funds, and we are responsible for distributing, monitoring them, and demonstrating results. The third priority is about strong partnerships. The city could not do this without our nonprofit human service partners, our faith-based agencies. They're all out there every single day doing great work and helping this community of people. And we'd like it to be that there's a no wrong door approach. No matter who a homeless person reaches out to or someone in our community reaches out to, we want everybody to be connected into the system in Mesa so that we create efficiencies and avoid duplications and hopefully create success more quickly. The fourth goal is about regionalism. We've had a lot of conversations both at city management levels, at the mayor, without it, in the entire region about the need to share the impact. We're talking about sharing that by having local services in your community, but also facilities. We need to spread those geographically so that they're accessible, but that everyone in the community has a strategy and a system. And then the fifth goal, which is something that's newest to our system, it's kind of helping us stretch ourselves a little bit. We've created steps in housing. We're calling it Mesa's Housing Path to Recovery. And there's basically 5 different paths. The very first one is related to Off the Street. This is the program that we stood up during COVID and that provides emergency shelter. It's meant to provide this housing for at least 8 weeks. It helps people start to get introduced to structure. It's a time for them to start making a commitment to wanting to recover and to start working hard on themselves to get that way. The second is what we call the recovery or jobs shelter. This is usually about 3 to 6 months. We have shelters in Mesa. They're domestic violence shelters, the men's shelter, and these are for people who are now committed to recovery. They have done some serious self-work. They are ready to follow some more formal rules and structure and to be accountable for their movement. The third is something that we call the Bridge to Success. And this is a brand new step in our system. It's for 1 to 2 short months stays. It's really our success stories. These are the people who have demonstrated success in the other two areas. They have held a job, they are drug-free, they're crime-free, and they're practicing their independence. And then you move into the final two pieces, which one is affordable rental. And that's usually 1 to 2 years, but it actually could be indefinite. These are things like rapid rehousing programs, rental assistance, and housing choice vouchers. And this helps them to continue demonstrating their success. And we're hoping that there's a phased reduction in the services that they are taking. And then last but not least is independence. It's self-sufficiency. It's having your own apartment, maybe even your home at some point, and continuing to reduce your reliance on welfare, and hopefully to start accumulating a savings account in wealth. So those are the 5 steps that we now have in our system and that we're going to continue building on. This is not complete right now, but as part of our plan in the next 2 to 4 years, we're going to be adding to each of these pieces, strengthening them, and creating those partnerships so that we're using them accurately and efficiently. So those are the quick overviews of what we've been doing for the plan itself.
Dovetailing into that is the working with our community partners. We partner with providers within our community, whatever their service that they provide, that are experts in their field. They're able to do the things that help people transition out of poverty, out of homelessness, and rebuild their lives, whether it be whatever the needs may be. And like I mentioned earlier, the needs vary based on their entry into homelessness. One of the key benefits we really get from this is a lot of our providers that we use do have peer navigators or peer employees. And that means these are folks that have in the past had the lived experience of homelessness or addiction or both, and have now rebuilt their lives, and they're helping community members rebuild their lives. This is beneficial in 2 ways. First of all, they have a lived experience. They have a credibility when it comes to contacting people and being able to do that. And we literally have people who are homeless in our city for the better part of a decade working in our current programs, particularly in Off the Streets, helping people rebuild their lives. So that's a win-win when you have a person who was on the street a couple of years ago for 6-8 years, and now they're actually employed by some of our service providers, helping people rebuild their lives. So it's truly a relationship that we have to continue with. And for us to try and duplicate that service is just, it's not feasible. We wouldn't be able to do it as well or efficiently. And so partnering with these people, these experts in their fields, has really been the key to the success, and how we interact with our city departments, collaboratively, and just figuring out whose lane is whose, and then staying in that lane. That's really how we've been seeing the success in getting people to transition out of homelessness, and really seeing people that were literally on our streets now employed within our city and helping other people out of homelessness is truly amazing. And that's just the Mesa way of doing things.
Thank you, Natalie and Aaron. I have just a couple more questions for you. How do you balance the needs of residents and safety concerns with supporting Mesa's unsheltered population?
One of the ways we do that is by leading with service. We want to get people help if we can, and if they're ready to receive help. But we also use enforcement, as we've talked about before. When crimes occur, we need to use enforcement, and we need to make sure that we're trying to keep our community as safe as possible for everyone. The other thing that we do is we use design and in-the-field actions to balance needs of the community. A design example would be our main library. We are right now working on redesigning the entire library, the first floor in particular, so that it is very focused on family activities and young children. And we have moved all of the services for adults up to the second floor. So what this does, it allows us to separate some of those uses so that families and children can enjoy the library and feel safe and have everything that they need. But adults can too, and even the homeless. It's not illegal to be homeless. We all know that. They're allowed to use our public facilities just like anyone else does. But if we can do small things like this in our design to help create that separation, that only helps everyone. So those are some of the things that we've done. The actions out in the field too, we have focused very hard on our parks, and there are some parks that have higher levels of homeless activity. And so our police officers make frequent attempts to talk with the homeless and, again, lead with service. But if there's crime going on, deal with it.
Yeah, that's very true. Downtown isn't unique to other areas of the city when it comes to experiencing homelessness. However, with several concentrated resources in downtown like the light rail and partner organizations like Positive Crystal, St. Vincent de Paul nearby, and a concentration of businesses along Main Street, of course, the perception might be different for those who live or visit here. How can you talk a little bit about how you address the issues of homelessness the same or differently depending on the area of the city?
That's a great point, Councilmember Duff. So in many ways, the downtown area is different, as you pointed out. One of the things we've been focusing on is moving new service provisions further and deeper into the community. And then we have a specific navigation program to downtown. So the navigators there are specific and they're in the businesses. They know the businesses. They're up and down the downtown area in Main Street and working for a focused level of connection to the services so that we can transition people off the streets and out of homelessness into self-reliance. From an accountability perspective, the police department has a dedicated bicycle squad or bike squad that works that area in a high enforcement, high patrol. And again, like Deputy City Manager Natalie Lewis mentioned, they also lead with services and try and get those folks connected. So having the bike squad specific to downtown, it's the only area in the city that has it. And then you have things like the district commander, Commander McCormick, who formulates a plan modified to the specific needs of this particular area here to modify the patrol approach to include things like patrolling parking structures, alleys, the light rail stations, and other tools geared towards creating a safe environment for all citizens in the area. You don't have a large group of parking structures in a small area that could lead to nefarious activity in other parts of the city like we do here. So having those adjustments so that we can have accountability as well as service connection is key. So downtown is different in many ways, and so we have to adjust that. And we do the same thing in the rest of the city too, where the commanders in those areas adjust it to their needs as well. But downtown is absolutely different. And so we have that focused approach to respond to the needs here specifically in downtown.
Well, I want to join Jen in saying thank you to Natalie and Aaron for the work you're doing and for taking us through some of the things that specifically that we're doing to combat homelessness in our city. Natalie mentioned a moment ago the strategic plan that the city adopted. And Natalie, I want to thank you for working with our nonprofits over the course of several months to come up with that plan. I think one thing that we all learned a couple of years ago when we adopted the challenge to end veterans homelessness on a national level, we learned that for these types of strategies to be successful, they have to be targeted at individuals. That we just don't deal with homelessness like it's a generic population. What we learned during that process was that we had to have a name for every person. In order to, when we were working on a national level, the best practices they taught us were you're going to know each person by name, and that's a great starting point. And the plan that you've come up with, Natalie, again, is a progressive plan. It takes people from point A to point B. We start with the immediate housing needs, and we work and help people progress, one step at a time to hopefully, graduate out of the program and out of homelessness. So, and I know that you two are both available if faith groups or nonprofits or individuals in our community have additional questions that you can share our strategy with them. I'm excited now to talk about the next topic, which is healthy giving. We're going to pause for a moment to view a videotape on the program of healthy giving and then have a discussion of that later.
I was on the streets using drugs, heroin primarily. I grew up kind of blessed in an affluent family, and I went to private school and college. I got a position at a dental office, and I was running it, and the dentist and I were friends, and it kind of snowballed because then prescription pills were given out, And that's kind of what escalated to ultimately the heroin use. It got to a point where the family, could no longer stand by my side and watch me, slide away.
And I thank God every single day I wake up that I'm not out there. That type of lifestyle and the drinking and the drugging, and there's no morale, there's nothing there. Dignity's gone. My mom cut me off. She knew better. She knew that she couldn't even help me with food. But it really hurt when she cut me off for my kids too. I was in an extreme state of denial.
Just never knowing where I was gonna stay, if I was safe. To look back at that, it's just mind-boggling that that's what you do. But in the throes of addiction, you're not thinking straight, nothing makes sense.
The Phoenix Rescue Mission wants to come and help you out and get you off the streets. No, because you already have it in the back of your mind. Someone's gonna help me out with some money, or if I stay out, I'm gonna get 20 bucks for my next hit or whatever. It
is a form of enabling, and they may think they're helping, and they may be helping for an hour, but that's not helping the long-term goal. This place offers a much better opportunity to get sober, remain sober. It comes with a camaraderie here too, with a brotherhood with like-minded individuals. You really can't do it on your own.
That's the whole push behind healthy giving. It's not stop giving, it's not stop having a heart to want to do good, it's let's do it in a healthy way.
This is our volunteer opportunities chart. We need 250 people a day in 32 different opportunities in 10 different locations every day of the year. But people have amazing intentions and amazing love that they want to give. I'd love to help them give that in a way other than feeding on the streets that has a greater impact, that's a better use of their resources.
Now I'm reconciled with my kids. I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
I was given grace, I was given hope. You can help these nonprofit places like this with donations. It's like this cycle where everybody that helps will touch someone else that'll help, and it continues on.
The video we just watched is from a regional organization, the Arizona Healthy Giving Council. Now I'd like to introduce Pastor Jerome Parker of First Christian Church of Phoenix, who represents the Arizona Healthy Giving Council, which is a dedicated coalition working to provide support to those experiencing homelessness. The group promotes healthy and sustainable giving and serves as a resource to help us all connect to healthy ways to give. Pastor, Mesa is a very compassionate city, and many of us are eager to help, but I know that there are better ways to go about this than taking food to the park or giving money in the median of the freeway. We've seen the great video, but Pastor Parker, in your own words, could you give us an overview of things we can do that would be the best way to help our homeless population?
Thank you, Mayor Giles. I think that, as we talk about the path of ending homelessness, combating homelessness, and things that we can do, the Healthy Giving Council really just promotes collaboration. And so you mentioned that there are alternative ways to give to those experiencing homelessness besides giving $1 to somebody that's panhandling or dropping off food or clothing in the park or on the street corner or whatever the case may be. And what we found that is if individuals, if they take that same amount of energy and they partner with one of the nonprofit organizations that's been mentioned before, like St. Vincent de Paul or Paz de Cristo or Salvation Army or whatever the case may be, they can really exponentially expand their efforts to help those individuals that are experiencing homelessness. One of the things that we find is that when you partner with an organization that serves this population on a day in, day out basis, the efforts are they're multiplied. So not only are they getting a meal, but they're also getting an opportunity to better their lives, whether it be through mental health services or job training or a housing voucher or, getting interviewing skills or whatever the case may be. So we try to encourage people to partner with these organizations and to really collaborate. We find that collaboration, like the old cliche, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. And so rather than going out as rogue individuals Let's collaborate together with existing municipalities. I know the city of Mesa is doing some really great things, existing nonprofit organizations, existing faith-based groups that are doing things in a healthy and sustainable way.
Thank you, Pastor Parker. It's really helpful to have some additional guidance, and we're grateful for the work that you're doing with the Healthy Giving Council to organize these resources. With the holidays upon us, many people want to support the unsheltered homeless who have immediate needs. What's the single most effective thing people can do to help those in need?
I think the single most effective thing that they can do is to really be introspective and ask themselves a question. Is what I'm about to do really going to help this man or woman that's experiencing homelessness get closer to ending their homelessness? So for instance, maybe the people that are, you're watching this and you're listening to this and you're saying, I just want to go down on Main Street and I want to pass out a bunch of sack lunches and I just want to help those individuals that I see. So the single most important thing that you can do is ask yourself this question. Is this sack lunch going to help this person get closer to ending their homelessness? I'll give you the answer to the test. The answer is no, it's not. But there is an answer that does get a person closer to ending their homelessness. And that's, as I mentioned before, is partnership and collaboration and taking those efforts and marrying them alongside the existing efforts of nonprofit organizations and serving alongside them, volunteering your time, donating your goods and services to those institutions that can distribute them in a healthy, sustainable way that it won't end up as trash in the streets, it won't end up as a potential health hazard, and it gets to the individuals that need them the most. And that's the single most important thing I think individuals can do right now today.
Thank you, Pastor Parker. That's great advice. I think we all need to not suppress the feelings that we have to be compassionate and to help. But as you indicate, let's be smart about it and let's look for the most impactful ways that we can do that. Natalie and Aaron, is there anything that you'd like to add, maybe specific to Mesa, or any final thoughts?
I do have one final thought, Mayor, and that is just a message to our community. Sometimes I think about the work that we do as an invisible solution. We work really hard to try to help people get ready to receive service. And sometimes that can take hours and hours and days to get somebody to that point where they'll make the commitment to try to get to recovery. So it could take a long time to get somebody off the streets. And then what happens is maybe somebody else is on the streets. And so it's a continual issue and challenge that we have in Mesa, and we're working hard on it. But sometimes it does feel invisible. And I just wanted to make sure that the community understood that, but also knows that we care and we're committed to help and to try to make this better.
Thank you, Aaron. Any final thoughts from you as you unmute?
Yes, Mayor, and I wanted to echo what Pastor Parker said. He's a hero of mine. He's done so much good in this community across the valley. It's a pleasure to be sharing a broadcast with him. Our system in Mesa is built for reducing homelessness is built by putting as many services to help people in need, as many services to better their lives into one location. And we do this by having everything there for them to get their needs met. And so when people, no matter how well-meaning they are giving them a service, a singular service somewhere else, they're potentially drawing them away from other services like jobs programs, showers, clothing, having navigation services that can help them get their documents ready so that they can move in. I was talking about healthy giving and panhandling with one of my formerly homeless friends, and they were telling me that, you know what, when someone gave me a couple bucks on the side of the road, they bought my beer that day. If they gave me a bit more and I stacked it up, I was able maybe to get a hotel room. But when I woke up in the morning, I was still homeless. Nothing had changed except they had moved their homelessness inside for the night, potentially if they were able to get enough. And if they had food in the park or food, on a street corner, but they were still homeless. And I'm not telling, and we are not telling people to not give to people. Absolutely, when your heart prompts you to give to people, please do. I do, and I have. But if I give somebody a sack lunch on the freeway off-ramp, and I keep them from going to get services where we have these services available for them, am I really doing what's best to help their homelessness? Perhaps not. So I believe there is a better way. And I do completely agree that healthy giving is really what it comes down to. And so when you want to give, really the best way to do so to really make a lasting change is to work with our volunteer or donate with our organizations like Paz de Cristo, St. Vincent de Paul, Save the Family, Mesa United Way, A New Leaf, House of Refuge, United Food Bank, Midwest Food Bank. All these folks are deeply engaged in reducing homelessness, deeply, deeply motivated to help people. So when we help those organizations, like Pastor Parker was saying, the horsepower behind the change is so much more increased than the $1 you're giving here turns into a much bigger impact there. So lasting change comes with partnering with our partners, our community partners that provide these services.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I love the point that you and Pastor Parker made there at the end. I mean, again, when we want people to respond to the promptings they have to be engaged and to help their fellow Masons, but a lot of it is about where you do it. Giving somebody a box of donuts in the city park is not helping them get to a place where they can get wraparound services and where they can be connected to the people that are going to help them progress out of homelessness. So feeding people is important, but where we feed people is also important. So anyway, I just want to thank each of you for the great work you're doing in our community to combat homelessness and to serve those who are facing this experience. And again, the network of partners and programs that have emerged out of your work and planning is to be commended. You gave us a list a moment ago, Aaron, of all the great nonprofits in our community that are part of this team. We hope that through implementation of the homelessness plan, we'll be eager to match up to our goals with measurable outcomes, and I know we are already making a significant impact in the community. Thank you for joining me and my friend Councilmember Duff today to shine a spotlight on work that is happening largely behind the scenes in our city. Thank you to Pastor Jerome Parker and the many nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and others who are truly dedicated to being our partners in the work. Finally, as we close, I want to thank again Councilmember Duff and all of our council members who are devoted to ensuring Mesa approaches this issue thoughtfully and with the safety and well-being of our residents in mind. For more information about Mesa's work to address homelessness, please visit our website, mesaaz.gov/homeless. And for more information about healthy giving and how best to have an impact, to take a moment to review the resources, I'd like to invite you to take a moment to review the resources available at givesmartaz.org. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you on ending homelessness in Mesa.